Hey YouTube, this is Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and Ed Mullins, the Sergeants Benevolent Association, was raided today by the FBI. That is a labor union for, you may have guessed, the sergeants of the NYPD, and members of the FBI and the anti-corruption unit here in New York City entered the union's offices. They also appeared to have served a search warrant on Ed Mullins' home out in Port Washington in Long Island. And it seems like this is a corruption probe. Now, if you're asking me if I know anything about this or if I have anything to add to the story, no. No, I don't. At least, not beside gossip and pure conjecture. But, when has that ever stopped me? Because we're going into the gossip and conjecture mode. Rank speculation. Me guessing at things. Our boy, Mayor de Blasio, is on the way out. And his political career is pretty much over. I know one human being in all of New York City that says they would vote for de Blasio again. He did a very bad job, and New York City is in very bad shape. Also, allegedly, de Blasio and his wife made a massive amount of money disappear. Depending on who you ask, hundreds of millions to close to $1 billion. Unaccounted for, and they've just been languishing, based on my best recollection, in an FBI probe for years. In the meantime, well, our boy Mullins has been giving de Blasio the business. He's been giving him a hard time because he doesn't like how de Blasio treats the NYPD. And, you know, that's Mullins' job, right? He pushes back against the employer. The mayor represents the employer. The mayor is the employer in a way. He runs the city. So the NYPD members, they work for the city. And so Mullins pushes back against the city. That is his job. He fights for his constituents. Problem potentially being that in his role as the head of the Sergeants Benevolent Association, I believe Mr. Mullins is supposed to hold down a full-time gig as an actual sergeant in the NYPD. Which I hear he gets paid to do. Unfortunately, he may have had that most classic of situations in New York called the mafia gig. In that, from what I hear, he did pull down that sergeant's salary. However, his full-time job was working for the Sergeants Benevolent Association and running it as their head. And he may not have been reporting to work for the NYPD. He might not have been showing up to shifts for quite some time, allegedly. Years. Which would theoretically be a crime. A rather sizable one. And now I suspect that this was not much of a secret. Not really how New York City works. We have a lot of corruption, but everybody kind of knows about it, right? Everybody kind of knows who you pay to get on the docket to get voted into a judgeship. Everybody kind of knows who the district attorney's office is going to prosecute and not prosecute. We basically know. It's just that kind of town, right? It's kind of a sloppy, corrupt town where nothing works and the garbage doesn't get picked up and things kind of smell bad a lot of the time. But that's just an agreement, right? That's kind of like everybody in New York just kind of agreed to not address corruption. But, you know, Mullins is given the business to hold de Blasio. And de Blasio really has nothing left to lose because he's a failed husk of a human, I guess. And I'm pretty sure he's aware, because he's the mayor, that one of the chief thorns in his side doesn't go to his shifts for the NYPD, allegedly. And do I think Mayor de Blasio is the kind of guy who might try to get somebody who gave him a hard time? Yeah. Yeah. He's very petty. He's very stupid and very petty. In retrospect, perhaps I should take my own advice right now. But, anyways, as I said, I know nothing. This is all conjecture, gossiping, and guessing. All of these things are purely allegations. I don't believe anyone has been found guilty of anything ever in New York City government. It's just not really how we do things. But I'm curious to see how this one plays out. I'm going to be very interested to see what happens.